We're just streaming it now. Matt, we were talking about the keyboard issue. So there's the official word. It's like, why do gaming monitors have or gaming PCs have PS2 connections? There you go. That was right from Quora, so it has to be right.
A PS2 connection.
Yeah, exactly, Kote. Did you know? Yeah. You can read the answer. It's
wow.
Like PS2 will always work. It's wired right into the motherboard. No software involved.
I guess that's true if I remember the Yeah.
So that's why you see them on these fancy PCs.
That is something that, as far as phrases in movies like breaking the mainframe encryption, I think wired to the motherboard should really been in there. Like that's a phrase that people should start using.
We're in the mainframe.
Like right after you say it's running on the mainframe. It needs to be wired into the motherboard.
Maybe it's beforehand. They would be like, well, they have got a firewall around the mainframe, so we've got to be wired to the motherboard.
The motherboard.
So that's why we have to send someone in. They've got to wire it to the motherboard, and then we can break the encryption on the mainframe.
Okay. Let's also make sure. Hey, we need to make sure we post that we're doing it in Slack. I didn't do that last time. Some people missed out.
Are you doing that? I won't do it then.
I'll do it here in a second. I think if only Matt hooked us up with some very nice integration with Twitter, which is fantastic.
Hey, you get one for free.
Which we could do the same. It's like Twitch would just have it, like it automatically.
Well, yeah,
by a Slack channel. Like it feels like that would be like a good feature.
Yeah, but since they're owned by Amazon, no one wants to integrate with them. Or they have hubris about it. Like I think there used to be a feature in Twitch where you could upload your video to YouTube if you integrated with it, and I think that I'm going to use the passive voice. I think that no longer exists. It was removed. I don't know by who or whatever, but that would be like a logical thing. I mean, I think what happened is with all these as they're called nowadays, tech companies, that they I think Instagram took the social graph, as they used to call it, from Twitter, and everyone was like, and I think after that, all these companies they don't want to work with each other anymore. Well, they're gonna swipe their money makers.
Two things. Twitter just reintroduced APIs like a week ago, or like
it's back after all.
Yeah, it's back. It's back again. It's like Backstreet Boys.
And then mad. Remember how mad people were?
Oh yeah.
I was like, gosh, that was.
And does that mean Tweetbot is going to work again?
I use Tweetbot. I didn't know it stopped working. I thought it was like they had a limit to how many licenses they could get or something.
There was something wrong.
Maybe just heads up. We're getting like a slight amount of clipping. I don't know if you're hearing that, Kote.
From me?
Me or Kote?
No, I think from you, Matt.
Okay.
I don't know. You're just heads up on that.
I don't have a hard line in my office anymore, but I do.
Are you wired to the motherboard?
I don't.
It sounds like maybe it's just like you're getting it's like your microphone, which I appreciate, is you're getting like a little close, or like
am I too close?
Yeah, I think for a minute there it was clipping. Okay. It was doing that thing where it won't. So
okay.
There you go.
As long as we're complaining about tech stuff, Kote, about every 3 minutes you have a pause of like, are you on wireless or
no? I've checked my networking stuff. I don't know what's up with it. I'm on the Ethernets.
Weird.
You get a little freeze. Did you set up the priority in the Mac?
Yeah.
It goes to the.
Oh yeah, I got that stacked on top.
You're like, been asked that before. Yes, I've done that. Yes.
Let me.
Yes, I've.
Let me close down Slack. Do y'all ever get that thing in Slack where it asks you like 15 times to enter your password because it's installing a helper installer?
No, I have not gotten that.
No,
but I wonder if that's like virus scanner.
I don't think I have. I don't think I have that helper installer.
No.
Going.
See, look, Brandon. In case you doubt me. See.
Honestly, I can't read it. I just have to take your.
See, there's the Ethernet, then Wi-Fi, then whatever the carbon black
all right,
is.
Man. Well, listen,
all right,
you're a professional. I should have a question. I apologize.
That's okay. No, but when you have symptoms, you got to check for the disease.
I just feel like that one's like a hard. Sometimes other people don't know that one. They're like, oh.
Yeah. Let me look at mine. Wi-Fi. That's it. I guess I could get a power over Ethernet. My new house isn't wired, so I did power over Ethernet or Ethernet over power for my little cluster.
Well, we should get started since Brandon has a hard stop.
All right, 3 ads. the post like people like they had last week. So
Really?
this week, but that was me reading it. This week they're getting, because it's like I want to build up, right? I'm like, this week they're getting the good read from Coach.
Oh, what a way to compliment it.
You're getting they're getting the professionals, right? Because I didn't want them to hear yours, didn't hear mine. I was like, I don't want to go second. I want them to hear.
And I'm not even doing it, so
yeah. Well, if they come back in with some more, I'll get you in, Matt. But they only wanted two, so I just
okay. That's fair enough.
We're all professionals here. Don't worry, it's fine. All right. What am I doing? Let me close this. Let me just make sure I closed all those things. Do you think OmniFocus is taking up a lot of bandwidth?
I don't know. I'm gonna start closing some stuff too here. I'm gonna close my calendar.
Close that. Strategy memo. Don't need that. All right. Let me make sure that my son. I noticed my son's behavior. He was using my laptop. He's one of those people who just minimizes all the windows. Just like yes. Thank you, Matt Ray. Yes. All right. I'll start up here. What was I going to talk about?
NFTs.
NFTs.
No, I'm kidding. Please don't.
No. I actually... What have I been doing? Not fucking much.
The picture of you on the wall behind you.
Okay. That's a good idea. Now...
So many years, still the same. Go ahead, anytime you're ready.
I think we covered last episode that the laser printer is the superior printer. In fact, it may be the only printer that the discerning person should ever buy. And the LaserJet printers, unless they want to sponsor this podcast, can go fuck themselves. Pretty much. Now I would take a dot matrix printer just for the retro appeal. That would be great. I spent a lot of time in my youth. My dad, who worked at IBM, he was of the type of worker where the only computer equipment he had in his house was IBM equipment in the 80s, which was always like 4 times as much as you would have to pay. Because, if his boss came over for dinner, he wanted to make sure that his boss saw that he had IBM stuff. So he had some kind of IBM dot matrix printer, and he had, what I wouldn't give. Well, I would not give a lot of things, but it would be fun to have a box of that dot matrix daisy wheel paper that he had that alternated between white and green lines.
Oh,
y'all remember those?
I remember that.
Yeah. It was so nice. And then he would have, I think he might have gotten some of those, like, from the trash can at IBM or something like that. He always had a lot of that. But I remember I spent a lot of time drawing on that and using it. That paper was just so wonderful. So I'd take.
It was nice and thick too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that color green, I think, is. I don't log into Tumblr much anymore, but there's a lot of Tumblrs that I subscribe to that are like vintage neon 80s stuff, and I've yet to see that color green, which I need to look into doing that. Now,
it looks like it's still on sale here at Staples. I believe it or
not.
So,
no.
I just put the link in there. So Printworks Professional Recycled Computer Paper. Green bar. I think it's with the green bar, right? I don't know. It's got the even. Somewhere it's still. It's cheap. It's not cheap, though. I'll tell you that. So.
Did you have the software so you could print stuff in banners?
Oh yeah, yeah. We definitely had that. And he's dead now, so I can't embarrass him. But I'm pretty sure my dad would print out like boobies and stuff like that. I think there was
alternating
stuff like
white and green lines and the. Oh, geez.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like little tiny X's and dots.
Yeah. And we would play all of the Sierra games, including Leisure Suit Larry, and it was with your dad playing King's Quest and Leisure Suit Larry, and it was funny. I remember the Leisure Suit Larry, the ID test for age they have is they would ask you about Beatles songs or Nixon or something. Which is just
yeah, but the thing is like my kids listen to the Beatles and 70s music, and it's like it's like a time is a flat circle, because my 14-year-old really likes ABBA. It's just like, okay. And they're all into Hamilton, and so they know a lot of early US history. And Maybe I just got nerds.
But my question here was going to be, okay, so we of course have the laser printer. I don't want to read off the name. It's some sort of HP because HP makes the best laser printers in my mind. I don't know if that's true anymore. But now, what is your policy on reusing paper? Like flipping over the paper and putting it back in to reuse it? Do you always have a fresh sheet of paper in the cartridge there, or do you go around? Because and I ask this because we each have kids, maybe not 5 kids like Matt Ray does, but once you give your children access to print things, they are just printing the shit out of everything, right? There's paper flying out of there all the time, and they'll be like, oh, I don't like the way that looks, and that might happen 15 times before they get the one that they want, and they're just printing, right? And then especially if you're doing this school at home stuff as we were doing over the past, has it been 5 years, 2 years, however long it is? I mean,
Forever.
Whenever that was, like you got to print a lot of stuff, and so you end up with all of these printouts. And so I have been just like, maybe this is the clothing optional vegan co-op influence that rubbed on me when I was living there, but I'll just flip over those pages and put them back in there to reuse. And my kids don't like that. They're against it. And so what? Y'all need to give me some guidance here. Is this,
No, I don't
should I
think you
stop
need any
doing that?
guidance.
Or?
I think that's absolutely the 100% proper way. Especially, I mean, unless something needs to be like turned in or scanned or faxed for some kind of official, it's like I think reuse as much paper as possible. I will say it takes a little bit of effort because you have to at least mine, you have to kind of reload it into the cart, into
That's
the
true.
paper
That's
thing.
true.
So a lot of the paper, what I found during especially the homeschooling period, was a lot of that paper just became kind of the scratch paper. It's like, okay, just turn it over and do your math or your drawing or whatever. That was the better use, because otherwise it required effort to like gather the paper up, make sure it was like reloaded in the paper bin. So but yeah, no, I think 100%.
Okay.
I even find that for myself though. Like I don't print that much, but most of the time it's not something that's like official. So it's like, yeah, I just it would be great to keep reusing the paper. A lot of times I just need it for a second or for just like a short period of time. So
Yeah.
My printer's duplex, so I got a lot less of that coming out these days.
yeah, I got the same now. I do have one that's got that going. So yeah, printing on both sides is just, that's worth the upgrade. I guess if you're buying the new laser printer, like the one I think I had last week, that one prints on both sides. It's perfect, right? Yeah. So just
So I think to close this out, I don't normally because we publish as a podcast. I don't normally cite a comment from the live streamers, but I think Deshaun wrote in, and he said this is a genius move, that he has one tray for parents and the other tray for kids. And I think that division, I think that is that network segmentation. I don't know about software defined networking, but I feel like that is the ultimate way of doing things. Is you've got to set up. You got to set up.
Have 2 trays, right?
Now, is that you'll know this, Matt Ray, but does that mean I need to go like configure some YAML for cups or something? Like how could I set that up?
I can assure you, Cote, you are not running Linux on the desktop, so you don't know that you're using cups.
right, it's perfect. I don't even know. Now I'm actually curious. I want to know how he set up this printer for does he have 2 paper trays? How you
Well,
doing?
They do have the bigger printers that have 2
Well,
trays.
I mean, if
I
you
think
go
that's
into
genius,
if you go into iOS, you can set up like what your configuration is once you connect to the printer.
But what he says
Yeah.
here, what parents paper 24 pound, kids paper 20 pound. So that's like different.
Yeah,
different sizes. So what is that?
I think for the
Different
kids.
weights.
I think for the kids' paper, you just go to the thrift store and put that newspaper shit they have in there. Like,
I love it.
and then they're like, I can't see what I printed, and you're like, get a job.
They're like, you flip it over and it's like, it's got yesterday's news on it, and flip it back.
Yeah, it's got a detailed list of the new Dutch cabinet, and whatever.
All right, well, that's a fantastic idea by who is that? You said who systems
It's Deshaun, Java Grunt.
Or whoever did it. That's fantastic. So, all right, well, no good segue here, but while you're buying paper, no, I guess not. Why? Maybe you just need to secure something because you're trying to secure your printers, and if you were, you could go see Strong DM and Anyway, they're going to help you secure a lot of stuff. So just go visit them. Tell your friends that Software Defined Talk sent you. All right, Gote, whenever you're ready now.
Well, at the top, to start off by asking or confirming how
out. Just reset. I'm going to stop you. Just reset it and one more time.
Yeah,
it paused right when you started talking.
Man, I wonder what's.
It's like you're like, I think it's like a packet loss. It does feel like a network thing.
It's probably U.S. East or something, right?
Yeah,
that's.
It's Dutch East data center.
Yeah. Ooh, Dutch East. That sounds like something they don't like to talk about anymore. Anyhow, okay. So with a topic like this, I always like to first cover how it works. That, of course, the log4j thing. You got some vulnerability there. Now, I went and read one of the rundown links, and it looks like, and whichever one of you knows, it looks like, and this is actually where, as the Java programmer who stopped coding in 2006, I still know what's going on, I think. And I think what happens is you can put in a $ curly braces like thingamajiggy. I forget what they call that. And you can put in a URL for a JNDI lookup. And I think when you, for whatever reason, I guess log4j doesn't escape this JNDI lookup. And that means you need to get this kind of class, which I guess if you put a URL in there, like Java will go and download a serialized object, which then you've got some running code and you're running. And I mean, I could see that logging runs with very heightened security. And then you can, at some point, for some reason, you can execute that code, and then you're off to the races, right?
Yes.
And I mean, I guess is that the deal? Is you can?
Yeah, that's the deal. And so and you could actually, download and install a shell on the
right.
Running under the JDK, and
now
as they say, you're off to the races.
I feel like even in 2003, we were told not to do serialization. It was just not worth it. Never, if you're implementing the serialization class or you're adding that interface, like it's just like you're doing it wrong. Just don't do that.
Well, the key is you need to misspell your classes. That was that way nobody can like marshal in a. Sorry, that's a throwback to our era 1999 startup where Marshall was misspelled for the entire length of the startup. Just drove.
Was that the Coral?
Yeah, Coral. Like when we were serializing and unserializing objects, we whoever wrote that code misspelled it, and to this day, I can't stand it.
What were we doing at that company, Matt Ray? We should record a bonus episode about that. Like what about we can bring Zane in, maybe even JP, and we can just we can just be like, what was happening there? What that's
we were plumbing the depths of the internet at the time.
Yes,
there were like 8 pages, but yeah.
So anyhow, seems like there's a security vulnerability, and as I it seems like the patch has a problem to it as well, right?
It doesn't. The patch, the first version of the patch was still left other vulnerabilities in place, and once people started looking, they're like, holy crap, this thing is completely open to the Wild West. And luckily, I saw that was Elasticsearch is not vulnerable because they ship a version of Log4j that hadn't been shipped since like 2006.
Well, that led to a lot of the memes, right? That was one of the memes.
Yeah,
like
so many memes.
You never have them. If you never upgrade, you never have the vulnerability or something like that. It was very funny.
Yeah, or if you never log. Yeah.
That's true. If you never log, that was humor. Well, I do think there are many articles written on this and blog entries. I would like to just give a shout out to the Swiss government. I think I put the link in here. I'll even put a link, a little show art so you can see it. I think they had the best write up. I think they had a great little diagram.
Oh, that's where I learned it. Yeah.
And they really, it's the perfect level. So if you're just for somehow you've been under a rock in the IT world and don't know what's going on, you should read that. It's really good and have a nice summary of it. And there's like a million things to do to fix it, or not a million things. There's all the patches and stuff to do. So so it's good. But I do think what I thought was more interesting was the meta conversation, right? It's like, can't add anything to like what you should do. Everyone's written up like how to patch it. I don't have anything off there, but I did think it spawned a great conversation around like, well, this is open source. So Like, what are the expectations of security? Then when something bad happens, what are the expectations that someone will respond quickly? And then how, if at all, should those people either be compensated or incentivized to quickly address one of these issues? I just thought, and
That now that's
a lot of Twitter discussion about that.
This is what. So first, I want to say a comment, and then get immediately to what you're saying. It's like, I mean, I don't mean this to sound dismissive, but it's just like, yeah, shit happens, right? and so I think I mean, in an instance like this, no, I think tweets are good. Like, there's one, I don't know, that someone somewhere said that's like, this problem is confirmation of whatever it is I want to say about programming, and so like, it's just like, whatever, stuff happens, like, and you gotta deal with it. And to be all systems person, the failure that you should be ashamed of is that when your system can't handle problems in the system. Although I guess you could go a level above that and say you should have no shame in your system not being able to handle problems in the system. But eventually you'll just get to, I was talking with Kim the other day. I was like, what was I joking about? Oh, yeah, some Adam and Eve joke. And I was like, yeah, I'm sure they got expelled. And they were like, I don't understand why he would create someone who would piss him off so much if he's got all the power. So, like, eventually you got to find, like the bulkhead that you stop at. But anyhow, that is what I wanted to ask about. Is I saw in my Twitter perusing all these people about, like, paying people for OSS. And, like, where did that come from? This seems like all I read, it being Twitter, is all I read was the people who were upset about it, not the original. I mean, the original thing.
That it did feel kind of disingenuous, because it's like, I mean, I guess people are like, well, I didn't know if it was coming from the, well, if you use free software, you get what you pay for crowd, or, hey, everyone who writes software should be paid. And I think both of them are, obviously the first is just a troll, right? I mean, we're living in the world of everything. Most companies are running 99% of their stack is under the covers is open source. And somebody, definitely people were paid to work on Log4j at some point. Maybe it started and some unpaid person, or it was just a side project. But the whole point is, like, it's been used by a lot of people paid. It's been, undoubtedly, coded by people pulling a salary. I just think that is that's just like a non thing, because
I guess I'm trying to find the straw man, and I feel like this is a reply to a straw man argument where there is no straw man. So, like, there must be like the what do they call it in infections, the patient zero? There's got to be like tweet zero, where someone was like, well, if they just paid people, none of this would have happened. Because there's so many people writing about
meta
it.
On the meta here. So, this got me thinking just more broadly around just about popular open source packages. Like, this may exist. This is just a question. It's like, is there a place where I can go look and say for the the top 50, whatever, pick any number you want, the 50 most popular used open source libraries, however you want to define it. Like, is anyone kind of tracking, like, how many people are working on it, and like, and just kind of just a general sense of, like, are these people available if something bad happens? Like,
yeah,
does anyone just even know? I guess is my question. Like, because I had no idea. I was just like, oh, I guess people are working on this, but I have no idea where to look or to know if Log4j, and I saw someone once say this, Matt, you may remember this conversation a long time ago. Someone said, like, health of an open source project is something like having frequent contributions from the community, but also having a pretty big pool of people doing it. That way, you have, like, a good project. It's not just
it's
one hero. And I think we always talk about Heartbleed now. We have to say that. We have to say, like, only one person was working on the SSL library, so that wasn't very healthy, right? When that problem happened. So, but I have no idea. Like, is anyone tracking the health of all the popular projects? Like, should we be doing that? Is there, like, a dashboard somewhere?
We definitely should. And I think that was one of the, like, after effects of Heartbleed, is people are like, wait, what? So there were a couple of different little, I don't know if they're foundations or funds or whatever, to, like, make sure that some of this software is getting funded, and definitely a lot more visibility for projects like, libcurl and OpenSSL, and where, they're like, hey, this only has, a small subset of maintainers, and it's used by, 3 billion devices on the planet, maybe someone should take a look at it. But I mean, Log4j is, I don't even know, it's Apache. It's used by a lot of people. I think the problem is just like, this was a fairly novel attack that nobody had really gathered. And I would hazard a guess, like, there's probably a lot of similar Java vulnerabilities out there that, people are combing through Java now to find.
Just to pose the question, I guess this is like, I don't know. If it doesn't exist, and I'm sure someone maybe will point it out and send it as it does, it's like, I don't know, should somebody, and I guess the Linux Foundation would be the only people I could think of like would be tracking. It's like, hey, should somebody just be tracking this? Like, here's the top 50 things. Here's the health of them. Like, is that even necessary? Or is it just like, it doesn't really matter either. It's just like, hey, all that matters is that when something like this does happen, that people kind of quickly respond, which it looks like the community, there's been lots of responses. So maybe it is one of those things like, do you even need to plan for it? Is it just like,
you raise a good point, Brandon, is that like, maybe this is actually a positive case study. I don't know if we have a baseline for like when a problem happens, like how fast, right? Like I don't know. I can't think of some real world example except maybe like a global pandemic that doesn't seem to be fixed in a speedy way. But like, we can't really like I don't know. It's probably going to take like another week, and then things will basically be cool, right? Like, so 2 weeks to like fix something. Like,
no, this is I bet it's going to be more like the Spectre vulnerabilities in the CPUs, where they found like one of these out of order bugs in Intel. And then like, oh, we got to fix this. And then they immediately found like 2 or 3 other ones. And then, AMD was vulnerable too. And now we're shipping these patches that, took 20% off the speed of these CPUs for That's eternity fair. because they're there. And so the problem with Log4j is it's core to most Java products. Most enterprises and, enterprise-y type apps, a lot of them are Java. And they're sitting on systems that haven't been touched in years. They're going to have to go break the encryption on the mainframe and update these things. And, and they probably don't have the source to a lot of these Java applications anymore. They're just sitting there running, eager to take a JNDI lookup. And so the way you're going to solve this is either like, some sort of hot patch for JVMs where, they disable JNDI, and a whole bunch of firewall rules to keep things from getting out. But a lot of this code is probably unpatchable. That's what's nuts.
Yeah, that's a good point. So it's a good it's a good thing to stick in your conversation about addressing tech debt and also being able to like quickly patch things. Secure software supply chain. I think that's what they call it.
So, but to that end, Matt, I think the answer just becomes firewall, because I think most people, I saw lots of various like AWS, I think, issued some firewall, like here's what you should do, and then I think Cloudflare had some stuff. So I don't know. It just feels like I just, maybe this is just another broad question, is like sort of like, have we reached a point with all of these exploits and various outages? Like they're more like we would treat like weather events in the real world. It's just like, yeah, you should always have electricity, but then there's sometimes it snows and you just don't, and you just have to deal with it. And
I think that's like, the perfect metaphor.
Yeah, there's just like, it's like, I don't know. I mean, yeah, the logging is bad. So we have to update some firewall rules. You have to patch. Some of these things will sit out there for a while.
So when it snows,
it's just
when
like,
it snows, close your windows.
No, it's just going to snow. Like you just have to deal with it.
And I think as that guy in The Princess Bride said, never live in Texas in winter.
All right, never live in Texas in winter. That's a good point.
I don't know if that hurts too much, Brandon.
No, but, I think that was very funny. I don't know. I do kind of feel like after all the talk of high availability in my career, I'm just like, yeah, I don't know, man. Stuff's just gonna go down. AW East went down the other day. It's like, it's fine. We just couldn't order packages for a while. Like my Alexa went off fine. It's like, all right, I don't know. Maybe that's our multi-cloud topic next. It's like,
you're just like, let's get some pencils and some old printed paper and just draw some shit and light a candle.
Like, you just deal with it though. It's like, I don't know. I guess somebody would be telling me that like some very critical system that couldn't go down went down, but I don't know. I just feel like, you just have to wait. All right.
Did they ever fix that power grid back home, Brandon?
No, they haven't.
They got a handle on that.
No, they haven't really done anything.
Cook your humps back.
Ugh.
And why Kote is fixing that. If you want something else to listen to after the show, you should visit our friends at Postlight.
Oh, so good.
Nice.
Where our friends Paul and I don't know how to say his last name. What's the other person's name? Rich.
Me neither. I was gonna figure it out, and I was like, I got to record this fucking ad. I'm just gonna do it.
We should tell them like they even spelled it phonetically. It's bad when they give you the phonetic and you're like, I'm still
Yeah,
not
you got to
sure how
be like, just record it and send us a link. Have you
I
heard of
actually went
Dropbox
back
or iCloud?
to their first episode to hear him say his own name, and then I probably really couldn't say it correctly again. So I was like, "Wow, I have the actual spelling, the phonetic spelling, and I've heard it, and it's still not coming out right." It's like, well, I need to finish this ad read quickly. So it is what it is. But anyway, everyone should go subscribe to their podcast because they're fun
For sure.
Last night we had a little engineering meeting, and we had it was led by a Frenchman, 2 Spaniards, a guy from Kyrgyzstan, a guy from India, and myself. And the Frenchman was trying to get the Spaniard to say bonjour, and he could not pronounce the J.
Oh, nice.
And so it turned into this roundabout of different nationalities trying to get people to pronounce words that they couldn't pronounce.
I bet. Well, actually, I bet a Netherlander could pronounce that because they can speak English perfectly, so they know how to pronounce a J. But like it would also be funny to hear like a Dutch person try to pronounce bonjour because they don't acknowledge the existence of the letter J. It's in their alphabet. But it makes
like
no sound.
It's like a Y, right? It's like I have a coworker. Yeah. How would you say this? His name is spelled Jella, and he's Dutch. How would you say that name upon saying it?
Jella? I would Jella. I would say Ula.
Yella is how I don't know. If we're saying it right. That's the way we've been saying it. But
it's true. It's true because the river
J
they
like
had
a Y sound. I don't know.
Because to say ice you say I, sort of, and then I mean obviously I don't know how to pronounce Dutch, but then also the river that is that's on the north part of Amsterdam is called the I, which is IJ, and they capitalize it for some reason. So yeah, it is like a Y, but my version was funnier, I think.
Well, it's very
Bonjour.
well. If everyone hasn't already,
because I guess they would say bonjour, like
bonjour.
You got to roll the R too.
Bonjour.
Well,
Yeah, that's true.
I just
So they would say
Bonjour.
for the stream.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Very good, Matt Ray. Bonjour.
I can't pronounce au revoir.
Au revoir.
Yeah, I can't pronounce that.
Au revoir. That's only because I took anyway.
And when the guy from Kyrgyzstan started bringing Russian in, we were just like,
Oh boy,
you're
you're like you win.
Might as well just bring in Mandarin, shut the whole meeting down right there.
yeah.
Well, but more importantly for this show, somebody, I can't remember who did it. I've just put the link in there. They sent in the Australian, how to speak Australian video. Fantastic. Everyone should watch that. It's in the show notes. It's also here in the stream.
A lot of good ones.
And it's just, I finally get it. I get it now. Australians shorten everything. Now I feel like I've unlocked the code. So I totally. Garbos. I got the Garbos thing now.
Sparkies.
Got it all, man.
Sparkies. Arvo.
Oh boy.
Maybe
that's what we should do. We should do. So Matt Ray, for our end of year episode, you should come up with 5 new Australian terms.
Oh, just watch.
No. We should play real Australian word, not real Australian.
Oh my gosh, that would be so hard.
Oh, and can we get Tasty Meets Paul to administer it? Or he could be the what do they call that helpline in that show that was popular?
Ask a friend, phone a friend, stream a friend. I'd like to ask Tasty Meets Paul for help. Paul, the question is, for Garbage Man, is Garbo a real word? But the way that would end, Paul would belittle you for so long he would run out of time without giving you the correct answer. Is how that call would end. That would be the exact way. And he'd be like, and of course the name is, and then it would click, and you'd be like, well, sorry, Kote, you'll have to answer on your own.
Exactly.
All right, let's go whenever you're ready.
Well, it seems like it's been a week of exciting failures. I think also right in time for reInvent to end. That was last week, right? Can y'all jog? Yeah. I think also I don't know, US East or something, and AWS went out. I mean, that's the one that always goes out, right? Like I feel like East.
It's the one where everything is hosted. It seems like
it's
all
the
the most
biggest.
popular things are hosted.
Now, okay, let's start with that. Is like, I mean, is it because it's closer to Europe or New
I think it was
York?
the first one, honestly. I feel like it was like the first major
It's in like Northern Virginia, right?
Herndon, Virginia. Yeah.
Because I feel like, I mean, I don't know anything, right? And if I know that US East is the one that always goes down, like, I mean, I feel like you don't have to write an O'Reilly book on this. Just don't run your shit in East, right? Like, because it's the one that's going to go down.
But like, I think the West had some problems later this week. That was
West had problems yesterday. Yeah.
Is there we got like a Kansas City or St. Louis or something?
I don't know.
There's an Ohio.
Is there a flyover data center? Yeah, there should be.
This is, something as a Texan that I realized. Everyone talks about Ohio like it's like not an East Coast thing, and like Ohio's like totally the fucking East Coast. It's like right up there. Like what is it? What does it take? Like 2 hours?
It is the Midwest. It's definitely
come
the Midwest.
come on. I mean, what does it take? Like 3 hours to drive from the Atlantic to like Cincinnati or something? How long would it take you to get to Cincinnati?
To Cincinnati? Well, Cincinnati's on pretty far over. You'd want to go to Columbus, right?
That's still Ohio,
Columbus. Thanks for helping me out. But here,
where's Toledo? I don't even know.
So, someone needs to look this up and calculate the drive from. I mean, it's got to be a straight shot from the Atlantic. Is that? I don't know. Is it a Mercator or no? That's Tyler Cohen. What's the projection of the actual flat map versus the other one? Like, I don't know where Columbus lines up with the Atlantic.
Still going to be the Midwest, though. I mean, no matter what you say.
Yeah, no matter what.
It's like
Ohio's Midwest.
You can your data point
listen,
how close it is to the ocean is not going to win anything.
I just feel like if I wanted to drive from Austin to Marfa, that would be like 3 trips from the Atlantic to Columbus,
True.
Right? Like, it's just like whatever. Like, if it only takes you a day, I'm not interested. Right? Like, anyhow, yeah. So you got some problems there with East going down, and my understanding from listening to every now and then I listen to the Roll for Enterprise podcast. That's a little recommendation. Those people are delightful. But like there was some network configuration issue. I think
always
that
DNS.
Yeah, always the DNS. But I think this every time this goes down, right? There's the as an example of why I try not to engage with Twitter, despite the fact that it's damaging my career and therefore my cash flow. Everyone's always like, oh, you should not just run in one data center, and you should know about that. And I guess that's true, but also I don't know. I think this falls under our Log4j thing of just like, I don't know, stuff breaks every now and then. It's just weather.
It's like, the nice thing about being on US East is when there's a failure, you're like, I'm a good company, right? We're all over there.
I guess this raises a good point. In your experience, is it possible now in the culture to blame Amazon for your unavailability? Like, do you acceptable?
I think it definitely gives the largest consumer applications a nice, almost like press coverage, right? So if you are caught up in the outage along with everyone else, it does soften the blow, right? The worst case is to be the only, like if you're the only service and you're completely out, right? Then you're in trouble. So, I mean, I do think it is kind of a general interesting question though around like, I think most businesses would say like, hey, we've got to do everything to be up. It's really, really important. And that would maybe lend yourself to like, well, all right, one answer would be multiple clouds, however you want to define that. The other one is just to say, it's just almost acknowledge that your business, while sure, you want it to be up all the time, like everyone, it's, at the end of the day, it's no different than lots of other things. If Amazon can survive an outage for a few hours, your business would likely be able to. But then, I think this is kind of like that moment where you have to have like a real, I don't know, heart to heart with yourself. Maybe if you are in high frequency trading and 1 hour of downtime during market open costs you millions of dollars, then absolutely, you probably have to like really take a hard look added. If you're just an e-commerce
Right.
company and the orders go down for an hour, yes, there's some theoretical loss there, but is it worth all the time and effort? I don't know.
And the nice thing about being on AWS East is like, even if you're not there, something you depend on is probably there. So you're going to have issues. You're going to have issues regardless. So it's like, oh, we can't serve, images from S3 or something like that. So it's like, you're going to have a bad day, even if you're not hosted there. It's just the way so much goes through there that I say lean into it, man. Just go all in on US East. You're like, this is we live and die together.
This is kind of the thing. It's kind of your world, though. I mean, you talk a lot about Tanzu. I mean, it is the kind of thing where it's like, hey, if you did get everything abstracted with Tanzu or some other platforms, and you had it running between just one of them, GCP and Azure and AWS, pick any two out of that list, right? It's like, if you could do it in a way that wasn't so expensive to over-engineer as to be, just like required lots of effort, and you could quickly just be like, all right, yeah, we know the infrastructure goes down at both these every once in a while, and switch over. That's the theory, right? That's what everyone wants to hear.
Absolutely.
So, I don't, again, it's just like, I just think you as a company, the business owners really have to spend some time thinking about if it's worth that effort.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's two things. I mean, my favorite sort of like discussing an idea move is always to ask compared to what, right? Like, and so like, sure, a major part of the public cloud goes down. But like I used to use on-premise Exchange, and that shit was always down.
Exactly.
Like, and so like even you just have to like, what is it, the Overton window? Like there's almost like an Overton window of like public cloud where you raise the expectations up, and then once it fails out, you're like, oh my god, public cloud's terrible. Because that's how people talk. But like it's sort of like compared to like when it was even worse, right? And so you have that. And then also, yes, thank you for the opportunity to talk about VMware Tanzu, the people who are going to help you with your multi-cloud future. But I think also it probably should be like, again, as you were saying, Brandon, if it matters to you financially or strategically or whatever, like it probably is something worth considering. Like, all right, I mean, let's assume that we need like a real... Maybe we don't run multi-cloud all the time, but like we at least could like take a few hours to switch over to something, and let's just build that into the architecture. But maybe it doesn't matter, right? Like you can't stick a hat on a cat for like a day. Who cares, right? Like it's not going to kill you.
Well, and actually, I'm going to go against my previous advice of going all in on US East. Is maybe. You don't have to be multi-cloud. You just need to be multi-AZ. I mean, yes, Amazon has AZ outages occasionally, but they never have like all of Amazon is down, right?
Right.
So you're going to get some more nines there just by being in like, Southeast Asia West, 1 or something like that.
And I think this gets to another thing that I've oddly enough, or not oddly enough, but like for some reason in the past 2 weeks, my sort of the thinking in my brain and the external world have collided a lot recently around this idea of multi-cloud. Like, what does that exactly mean? And like there was an O'Reilly cloud adoption survey. It was actually hard to find out what the official name of the survey was, but it was a great survey. And if you read through it, at least the way that I read through it, is that there's actually only 2 charts in there that I think are terrible. Right. That I think
high praise. Only 2 terrible charts.
Well, I think it's notable because I think I would encourage people to look through it and be like, don't even look at the content. Just look at these charts and put it through like your Tufty logic and be like, what's going on with these charts, right?
Yeah.
And one of them is like, anyways, there's 2 charts in there that it's very instructional to look at them and be like, what the fuck is up with these charts? So you should find them, but. The content in there, like one read of it, the way that they survey people is that I don't like their definition. They use the phrase hybrid cloud, which is just like whatever. But like, I think when I look at the stuff in that survey, my takeaway is that like, oh right, computers. Like nowadays, when you say multi-cloud, what you mean is you run shit on computers. right? Like, and it could be like your Chick-fil-A fryer. It could be your AWS East. It might be like some data center you're running. But basically, like, I kind of think what multi-cloud means is just like, yeah, we're kind of done with this designation of like what side of a firewall thing is on, and we just run stuff on computers. And we want the ability to manage all of that. It's, as we used to call it, y'all remember this phrase in the 2000s, heterogeneous systems management, which just means you got all these different things you run it on, and
so
you got to be
maybe
compatible.
what we're saying, though, do you think the question just comes back to, it's almost like having the question with the business, whoever owns a business, is like, let's have a very real conversation around like, how long can our business be down where it's not ideal, but it's fine? And I think the weather thing would be, and I think a weather analogy would be like, if there was an ice storm and we lost a day where people could not work because there was literally like no power, or a hurricane, or pick, any other natural disaster, like, is that acceptable for us to just be like, hey, sure, we could try to prepare for all of this, we could try to figure it all out, but if it's a one day kind of thing, then it's fine. It will all work out. Right?
I don't want to be an anarchist, but I would welcome more of US East shutting down if that means I don't have to work that day.
Well, and I'm thinking, the SLA for the state of Texas has a lot of 4s in it.
Yeah. But I just think, I guess that's the whole thing. Cause I think sometimes probably I'll put myself, like, you go to you do the presentations and you say something like, hey, everyone needs to be up all the time and, 24/7. And that's what business is. Like,
true,
we all know in reality, and again, like the pandemic having us numerous examples of like, hey, turned out like we kind of all figured out in a week how to do like online school. Like it wasn't really perfect, but like it did get figured out, right?
Life
and it was like,
yeah.
And I guess we could have spent years preparing for that, but it was like, well, everyone fire up some Zooms and do Google Classrooms, and it just kind of worked out. And it's like, that probably was the right solution rather than trying to prepare for years in preparation for something like, like if you 10 years ago you didn't have Zoom, and probably 10 years we'll have something different. And
all right.
So maybe, I don't know, maybe or maybe I've just like, maybe it is to your point, Cote, earlier, it's just like, maybe I'm just getting old where I'm just like, hey, life works itself out, right? It's just
I'm tired of this outage.
All right, final sponsor this week who can definitely help you learn about how to deploy to multiple availability zones. That'll be our good friends over at CBT Nuggets. I'm sure they have tons of AWS training. Everyone needs to check them out.
They need to teach you how to change your AZs.
That's right. And I think maybe that's the whole thing. So maybe Amazon just needs to make it easier to.
No, you've convinced me, Brandon. Do not run on multiple AZs. If that means that I get a snow day, run on one AZ.
I actually think there is
only one AZ. You should only
IT outage. I think there should be like, I don't know what you call it, IT day,
Cote.
outage day. Cote. AWS went down. It does feel great.
Internet doesn't
work.
Center.
Back to the data center.
Yeah.
Can you get that data center at the end of the runway, please?
One vertically scaling server. You call up Oracle, get
back under the desk.
System.
More importantly for the streamers, I don't want to leave anyone hanging here. Okay, I did a little. I took a lot of liberties here, so I'm going to say Columbus, which is kind of the center of Ohio. From Columbus to Wall. I picked a point in New Jersey because that seems to be kind of straight, at least in this map that I'm looking at.
I looked this up.
Walltown, New Jersey. It is 8 hours and 12 minutes to drive. It's 529 miles. I will let all of our European friends convert that to kilometers themselves. So there you go. So that's how far it is from there to that would be the Atlantic Ocean. And
I calculated New York City to Columbus, 8 hours 55 minutes on a toll road. You got tolls.
Yeah.
I don't know.
A little bit faster. You don't have to go all the way up north to New York.
What about rail?
Yeah, that's true. I just thought New York would be the ultimate New England thing.
That still means it's in Midwest now.
I don't know. I gotta see it on a globe. I'm looking at it now, and I feel like Columbus might line up with Atlanta and Tampa. No, not Tampa. What's up in the top part of Florida? What do you got there?
Jacksonville? Yeah, Jacksonville?
Well, Jacksonville's on the Atlantic, but I don't know. I don't know. I feel like let me zoom out here because this is no. You got to zoom out to the whole. Do the driving route in Google Maps and zoom out to the whole of the United States.
Yep.
And that route. let's say 20%, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not buying it. Ohio is part of New England.
Man, you're gonna
No.
you're gonna get a lot of hate.
No. This is how warped my
man.
children's education has become. I mentioned New England the other day, and my youngest was like, "Where's that?" And I was
I think maybe
like,
what I'm
"It's
suffering
Maryland."
from. You know that famous New Yorker magazine cover that's like the map of America according to New Yorkers.
Yes.
And like it's just like all of New York, all the boroughs, and then like the middle, and then
Texas.
LA. And I feel like there's an equivalent in my mind of like the map of America according to not only a Texan but an Austinite, right? Like, and it's a whole like there's basically just like New England is up there somewhere.
Yeah,
Like, it's
I mean,
just a tiny
Atlanta's
little-
farther west than most of Ohio.
Yeah. Yeah,
here's a good
I mean,
one.
listen.
Since now we're into the relative geography rat hole. Did you know Atlanta is further west than Detroit? There's another one for you.
Whoa.
Check that map out, right? Look at that. When you look at the
Yeah.
actual, that's like a weird one. It's like Detroit seems like, I don't know. That's like,
Yeah. I mean, listen. To be serious, I know I'm wrong. I just like
no, I would just say you're Texan. Like, I think it's just like in your case, I mean, because I know your background. It's like this is just if you're born and raised in Texas, like the scale of Texas kind of messes up your relative understanding of distances everywhere else, right? Because everything in Texas is far. You're like, well, that's like El Paso's in Texas, and it's super far. But in Europe, right, like El Paso to Austin would be like somewhere. You'd probably switch continents. You'd go from Europe to Asia,
I could be
right?
on a fucking Greek island if
I mean, that's
if I
the whole
drove
thing.
that
So that's
far.
what gives you like a distorted sense of.
I don't think you're driving to the island.
Well, you take a ferry maybe, or I don't know. Get some James Bond shit so I can go underwater.
Ooh. Dun, 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 dun. So, okay, quick
All right.
question about
Let's-
James Bond. What is if you're going to show your kids one James Bond movie to introduce them to the whole oeuvre,
Ooh.
is it Goldfinger? It's Goldfinger, right?
Show them Zero and show them the first Jason Bourne movie. That's what I would do.
No, they're too young for that.
You know what? I think
And Bourne's
is
not fun.
And you just
Bourne is not a fun movie.
Oh, totally.
Bourne is like kind of campy. I think.
Listen,
it's
I don't know the episode, but if you're really serious about it, go look through the Back to Work archives, and sometime in the last 2 months, they discussed this very question. The last 2 or 3 months, they were like, because of the level of action sophistication nowadays that kids have seen, you can't show them. Obviously, the best movie is Dr. No, because it has Ursula What's-Her-Face in it, right? And she's just like, my parents educated me with the Encyclopedia Britannica, but I only read up to G, right? Like, so that obviously the best. But like, you should go find that episode, and they discuss the optimal James Bond episode for a 10 to 15-year-old.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So what did you say it was, Matt? What are you thinking?
Oh, Goldfinger. Yeah. Do you expect me to talk? Yeah.
I think it's just too old.
Yeah.
That's gonna be
It
old.
is old, but it's campy,
I don't think you could
right?
go back. I was like, if you want more of the campy stuff, then I think you go to the Pierce Bronson generation.
Those
of
are
James
just
Bond.
not good.
But
Right? I mean, that's
agree.
like the classics are good,
Listen,
and the new
I
ones are
agree.
good, and then there's this wasteland in the middle
Well, then I
of,
think you got to go back to the first
Living
one
Daylights
with-
and crap like
The
that.
first one with Daniel Craig then is probably what you have to do.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's when it's not fun.
I think what you do is you
I
force
don't think you
you gotta force a double feature. You gotta get one. I don't know which one because I don't know him that well. You get a Daniel Craig one, right? And then you got to be like, and then also we're watching Dr. No or Goldfinger, right?
That's gonna be rejected.
And what we're
Moonraker.
doing, you got to be like, we're watching the Daniel Craig one so that you can see where this has evolved to, and you can appreciate the James Bond character, right? But then we're gonna roll into a Sean Connery one. And because you know James Bond, you can recognize sort of like the young James Bond, the James Bond from a simpler time.
And then you can explain Pussy Galore.
Yeah. And you gotta watch the Daniel Craig one where he's like in Singapore or something, and he's like, uses a brush to shave himself and be like, remember this scene where he knows how to use like a brush to put the shaving cream on to shave himself. And transfer that knowledge. This is the person who is the Sean Connery James Bond, and it'll all make sense. It'll hook up.
All right,
together.
report back next week, Matt Ray, which one you chose. That'll be fun.
We'll see.
That'll be good.
Uh,
All right, Cote, bring it home here. I have
All right.
10 more minutes.
You got 5 minutes. Oh no, you got 10 minutes because you said
10 more minutes to
okay.
Go for it.
All right. Hold on. Let me. I mean, Octopussy is pretty good. Just, I mean, you don't even have to watch the movie. You
That
just
was
have to know
like
it's
the
called
80s
that.
ones. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's when
yeah.
they started getting kind of
Yeah. Oh. Anyhow, only read up to G. Well, as always, there's a lot of conferences you can go to. Unless some kind of crazy COVID thing happens, I am going to be at that conference, January 17th to 20th in Round Rock. Let's just call it what it is, Austin. Along with Brandon, we'll be doing a live recording. I'll also be giving a talk there. One of my teammates, Layla. This is shaping up to be like a really nice, impressive conference. It'll be a good one. We have all sorts of discounts depending on the type of ticket that you want. You can get $75 off many of them, 50 on one, which is fine. But if you go to softwaredefinedtalk.com/335, you can find those discounts and you should check them out. Also, there's several DevOps days. I went and applied to a bunch of them the other day. But DevOps Days Chicago has the call for papers open, as does DevOps Days Birmingham, Alabama. Now, Alabama, not in New England. I can tell you that definitively. They also have a call for papers open. Now, also confusingly, there is a DevOps Days Birmingham, United Kingdom that you could also check out if you're interested in that. All sorts of good DevOps Days. You should come to the one in Amsterdam, and there's one in Eindhoven. Maybe systems guy can tell me the correct way to pronounce that. I'm a little. It's late in the day for me, so my Netherlands algorithms aren't working. But there's all sorts of great conferences going on. You should check them out. I started with my team planning out these spring tour conferences. We're going to start having those in April and beyond, so I'll tell you about them then. Any bureaucracy to go over, Brandon?
We do. We've got a bunch of listener feedback. So one, I sent some stickers to Chris in Seattle, and I'm happy to send anyone a sticker. All you have to do is send your postal address to stickers@softwaredefinedtalk.com. I'll be happy to send you a sticker anywhere in the world. And a couple follow-up items. We had some people respond to some things we talked about last week. So first, Chris sent along a video that explains Aussie slang to us. It's fantastic. So if you want to be able to talk to Matt Ray in the future, everyone should watch that. We also had Robert. He sent in a video. There was some discussion last week about how do you sort aluminum. Evidently, there's a way to do it. There's a nice video, so you can watch it, see how it works. Also, want to do some self-promotion here. Did an interview this week that's in your feed right now of the Chief Product Officer, Jordan, over at Single Source. So some interesting things I learned about databases. And I think, Steve O'Grady wrote a nice piece a while back about do we need all these different databases? Well, Jordan and his team, they give us a nice little history of databases, and they have a nice solution to maybe you just need one database. So I encourage everyone to check out that, hear what they're doing over there. I'd also love to hear from our friends at MongoDB, and people that are into analytics, because I'd like to hear their take on do you need specific databases for everything, or maybe you can get rid of some of these databases that you have there. And also, there's a good story he tells about the beginning of GCP. I did not know where it started there. So if you're interested in that, he spent some time at Google. He can tell you that. And then finally, just so everybody knows what's coming up this week, we're going to have another interview next week on observability. That'll be in the feeds kind of at the regular time. So that's with our friend Michael Wild, who did some time at Splunk and now works over at Honeycomb. So we got to the bottom of it, a little bit there. A lot of talk about distributed tracing, which I thought was really interesting. And then the follow-on, the last episode of the year you'll hear from us is our end-of-year episode. So that'll be out right before the New Year's. So if anyone has any questions they want us to answer, put them in the Slack, send them to questions@softwaredefinedtalk.com. We'll do a little fun little episode, answer questions, and recap the year. So lots of things happening here at Software Defined Talk as we wrap up.
Now, do you get those emails, Brandon?
I get them all. I get all the emails.
Okay, good.
Read them all. I get them all.
Just making sure. All right. So, Brandon, what do you have to recommend this week?
My recommendation, I guess maybe it's a little bit morbid, but I still think it's pretty good, is Apple on the iOS 15.2. They actually have this new support for legacy contacts. So upon your passing from the earth, if you designate somebody as your legacy contact, that makes it easy for them to get access to really your Apple ID and all your Apple contacts and things like that. So unfortunately, I think we all kind of eventually experience this with someone in our family. It is pretty nice if you make things easy for people going on. So probably not something you want to think about, but maybe just quickly go in there, probably make your spouse or your partner or another loved one, a trusted contact. So it makes their life a little bit easier. It's very easy to set up. I thought it was real simple. I thought it was pretty well done. So check out Apple Legacy Contact if you're an iPhone or Apple user.
Yeah. Defaults lifestyle.
Google's got that too. Every like 3 months, it's like, are you still alive? It sends you an email.
Wow.
Oh, I haven't gotten that email from Apple
Yeah,
yet.
yeah. You can set that up. It's like, just check in. It's like if your account has been inactive, it'll like notify your next of kin. Like,
well, I'll throw in one other, just because I think probably people listening to this, I believe many of our listeners probably provide you become the home IT person, whether you wanted that job or not. So I've converted the family to 1Password, which I like, but 1Password actually also makes it real easy to create like emergency kits, essentially print out everything. So I think it's actually part of like estate planning, if you do it, if you have it, put all that together, with your estate documents, and it's nice, right? Because it's just like, hey, if you need access to it, it makes it real easy for everyone to get access and pretty simple. So I don't know, probably, maybe it's not a fun topic to talk about, but end of year, right? Maybe once a year, you just sort of got all your documents in order, do 1Password, do your Apple or Google legacy contacts, and you're set. Don't think about it for a while.
How about yourself, Matt Ray? What do you have to recommend?
My pick this week is a show that apparently has been canceled, but ran for 4 seasons, called AP Bio. I don't know if you've seen this, but it stars Glenn Howerton from Always Sunny in Philadelphia and Patton Oswalt, and it's pretty good as far as comedies go. It's got very similar vibe to Always Sunny in Philadelphia about horrible people doing funny things. And I've enjoyed it quite a lot. It's on Peacock.
Oh boy.
Yeah. But
do I need to set up some kind of VPN to Philadelphia or something to watch this?
No. I apparently I can watch that just fine in Australia.
Sure.
They stick commercials in, so they have a free tier, and occasionally it forgets to stick commercials in. I guess nobody's watching anymore. Yeah. And it's good. I definitely recommend the show.
Apparently, I looked this up. I think maybe here in the Netherlands we can get HBO Max next year because of some Ziggo relationship, and I don't know.
Oh, you gotta get it.
Then I'll be living the high
Matrix
life.
coming out. That's the last big release.
We maybe for our annual episode we need to discuss streaming things, because I'm starting to think I can cancel Netflix. I need to think about that. I need some advice.
Wow.
Anyhow,
what see Dune? Did you both find a way to see Dune?
I saw Dune last week.
All right.
It opened.
Okay.
I saw that I can buy it in YouTube at least.
Okay.
So I think I can buy it and watch it.
No, you got to go to the theater, man.
It's good. It's worth it.
It's worth it. It was so good.
Okay.
So
we'll
good.
recap it. We'll recap it on the wrap up episode. We can talk.
Well. My recommendation this week. Here in Amsterdam, I like to listen to Austin's best music channel, KUTX, on Alexa. You can just say, Alexa, play KUTX. And I happen to hear that there's this there's a new album coming out from this combination. I don't know how to pronounce Kur Ungabin and this other person, Leon Bridges. They're both Texans, the group and the guy. And there's this album that they made called Texas Sun. And it's I think they call it retro soul or something. But it's a good, subtle, almost extremely subtle electronica. If you were to think of the Octopus Project, but totally chilled out and not digital, and then mix it with just what's the name of that guy who has the last song in the what's the show with the guy from Malcolm in the Middle about meth?
Breaking Bad.
Yeah. My understanding is in the last episode there's a song by this guy. What is the guy? Anyways, it's a good album. You should check it out. And they have a new one coming out called Texas Sun, and I think the new one is called Texas Moon. Clever title. But the album cover, fantastic. I would like to find out how to make the any artwork that I use for stuff that I do have that kind of aesthetic and appeal to it. But it also sounds good, which is key for music. And with that, before or right before you go to listen to that album and set up who's going to inherit your digital life after you die. And also see something new to watch on something called the Peacock Network, which is a tragic name. What you should do is you should go to softwaredefinedtalk.com/335 to look up the URLs for that and other things. Join our Slack channel. It's a great place to hang out, full stop, as they say over there across the Atlantic. And with that, we'll see everyone next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That's not the sign-off, Matt Ray.
I'm changing it up.
Wow.
Bye.
Wow. You're getting a lot of plus 100 here on your album recommendation. I have to check this out. Ryan likes it. Not sure. Yeah.
Sean.
Interesting. People like your choices. So
that's what I'm going to change my LinkedIn line to. People like my choices. Hire me.
That's fantastic. All right. Well, I have to run today, so I have to end the stream early. Thanks for everyone hanging out. I'll stream it. And then I guess for everyone, if you're interested, it sounds like we're going to stream Monday, right? Monday at this time?
Yeah.
Matt, you good?
Yep. Tuesday in Australia.
All right. So Monday, that'll be the last stream of the year. Thanks for everyone for hanging out. We'll talk to you then.